Rajshekhar for inviting me for this webinar, and very good to see almost 100 odd participants over here. So it's a great gathering. I don't have a presentation, so what I'll do will just quickly give you some thoughts on what is going to happen in fertilizer industry post COVID-19. Uh, no detailing about organization or industry as such. I think just a brief introduction of me, Madhav Adhikari, in this industry for last 17 years. Mostly worked in fertilizer and specialty fertilizer segment. In between around 4 5 years in the crop protection side as well. So also just to give you a little bit of disclaimer that the views are absolutely personal, and nothing to do with Coromandel as my organization. Uh, See, I think the majority of the discussions which had been happening over last 10 15 days had been kind of all very cautious, and I think people are not really sure what would happen, and I think that's why it's very difficult in this kind of scenario to really tell that this is what might happen and this is what we are supposed to do. So I think what I'll do, I'll give you two viewpoints which could be the extremes. One is a very optimistic viewpoint, which is kind of May 3rd when the lockdown opens, and another could be a totally washed out Kharif. So which could be a very long extended you know, lockdown or partial lockdown scenario where the industry can get impacted heavily. So I think these are the two extreme scenarios. Let's keep in mind, and based on that, I'll give you my thoughts on what we feel. I feel could happen. So now, from if you see fertilizer industry, there are basically two broad parts. One is the subsidized fertilizer industry, and another is the specialized fertilizers, the micronutrients and water solubles of the world. And as far as the subsidized fertilizer industry is concerned, it's heavily logistics oriented. Uh, Almost 100% of the raw materials are imported. So what is going to happen and what is currently happening is, it's not an Indian pandemic, so it's a global pandemic, and it started with China and now reached to almost all the countries. But one good part here is that most of the raw material producing countries, that's basically the African countries in the Middle East, from where majority of the fertilizer raw materials come, are currently not in those red zones. And of course there are cases, but most of the countries are operating, so I don't see a supply side problem right now. Of course Shiromani can give a better view on that, because he's with SABIC and they deal with a lot of raw material and they do a lot of trading. uh, and China is coming back to track. So that makes what it looks like. Even for specialty fertilizers also, I don't see a major challenge in raw material availability as such. But what would happen is, I will foresee a major issue in logistics, because ocean freight has definitely gone up. Plus, availability of containers is an issue, because most of the containers which are gone to certain country might be stuck in certain ports, because of it's taking more time, almost 15 to 30 days more time than normal to get a container released, to get a cargo released. So that might create a issue in the logistics part. So that's the back end part of it. And since the fertilizer industry is mostly dependent on imported raw material, the impact is going to be much higher in terms of exchange rate, because most of the when we in fact started the year, the exchange rate was around 72, 72 and a half. That was our projection also. Most of the industries projected that that would be the kind of range for the full year. Now it has shot up beyond 76. So that's a huge impact on any industry which is predominantly thriving on imported raw material. Uh, so so this is what I feel is on the supply side of the raw material front. Prices is very difficult to predict, but your ocean freight going up and your exchange rate going up is definitely going to have a serious impact on your raw material cost. Coming to production, I think one good part is most of the agri commodities have been put under essential commodities. So plants would run, but they will not run to their full capacity because availability of labor is an issue. You need to maintain a lot of social distancing, and most of these plants are. There is also a serious safety concern because we cannot run a plant on half of one third of the manpower. So many of the cases, we might have to go for a shutdown in some of the chemical fertilizer plant, or we could be, running at a much lower capacity than normal. So that could be one of the major concern because we just can't run a plant on one third of manpower, particularly because of it's a chemical industry and it requires a lot of safety precautions. So I think that's one concern area, but I think that's also slowly coming back to normal. Most of the industries limping back to normal as far as production is concerned. Most of the fertilizers, the subsidized fertilizers, are moved by rake. So the goods train movement is continuously running. So that's not going to be an issue. But the issue is going to be when the rake reaches a particular state, then unloading that material and taking that material to the warehouse and sending it to the dealers. That is going to be a major problem. Right now, in the month of April, we are not able to see the heat much because normally the movements are low because the season is yet to start. But when the season starts in full scale, within another 15 days, labor availability at the market is going to be important. If it is not there, then I think the supply of the fertilizers to the market is going to get affected. But of course, I'm pretty sure already I've seen last 3 days, a lot of state governments are coming up with notifications where they are trying to ensure that there is no fertilizer shortage in the market. So as if you have seen for the harvest, most of the governments have supported the farmers and they're trying to support them. So similarly for fertilizer distribution also, I'm pretty sure that government is going to come up in a very, very proactive manner to ensure that there is no fertilizer shortage in the market. Of course, for specialty fertilizer, it's a truck movement, and that business is more or less like the seed and the crop protection business. So you have to get truck, you have to have labor, your depots are mostly nearby major transport hubs like Indore, Noida, Ghaziabad, and you are going to get affected. So that's definitely there. So you can't really do away with that. But what I feel is the impact on agriculture is going to be much less severe compared to other industries. Because historically, if you see many of the time when you had problems like in the late 90s, you had a issue. In the early 2000, you had an agriculture crisis. You had a recession in 2008-9, but agriculture was the least affected. And going by all projections internally, what we feel is, even though if you take the two extreme scenarios, one is a very extended lockdown period, and one is the optimistic one on May 3rd. I think the GDP growth, you have seen the projections could be from 3.5% to a zero GDP growth in the extreme case. But I think agriculture growth would be definitely one notch better. So, and that's also because of two reasons. If you see the 1.7 lakh crores package which has been given, out of that, almost 15% is going to come in agricultural sector. Similarly, in MNREGA, there is a 10% increase in the wages. Similarly, the PM Kisan, scheme. In that also, the 2,000 rupees has been kind of preponed. That payment is being preponed. So all those things government is doing, trying to ensure that the impact on the farming segment is as less as possible. But what would happen is, which is very important part in fertilizer industry, that one set is a subsidized set of fertilizer where the industries depend on government subsidy. So I'm not sure right now what is going to happen on subsidy payments, but with so much of pressure on government exchequer and so much of fiscal deficit, I'm not sure whether the subsidy payment would be as normal as it's never normal. It's always 6 to 12 months delayed. But in the current situation, we have our own concerns that whether the subsidy payment would be coming in the right time or not. If it doesn't come, and side by side, all of you have already told that there is a cash crunch in the market. So I think the pressure, financial pressure on the industry is going to be much higher, and that will be also kind of aggravated because of the increased raw material prices. So I think channel financing is going to be a big way forward for most of the fertilizer companies, and I think that would open up a lot of opportunities for many of my colleagues sitting over here. But I think overall, if you see historically, again, last 20 years data, uh, food and beverages have always turned around the fastest, and agriculture was always, it's not as fast as those industries, but it's always kind of bounced back much earlier than many other industries. So that's also something we feel is going to happen. Similarly, there are also last part which I want to focus is in the demand side. So what is going to happen on the demand side? So I feel in the demand side, if we take an optimistic scenario, we are going to come back to business by mid of May, provided the logistical issues are sorted out to some extent. But agriculture is going to bounce back. Most of the cultivation in across the country will start from mid-May onwards, and so I don't think a major problem would happen if we are talking about the optimistic scenario. Reservoir levels are pretty good right now. Farm support from the government is coming up. I'm pretty sure the harvest will also go to the market, and the farmers might get their money also, at least part of the money in time, provided the government takes adequate steps there. So in the optimistic scenario, I don't see a major issue as such, as far as the fertilizer industry is concerned. But one thing is going to happen is, if you see the fertilizers, there are high price fertilizers like DAP, there are cheaper fertilizers like urea. The price difference is huge. So there could be a scenario where the farmers would be again preferring much cheaper fertilizers like urea, SSPs, or the cheaper complexes. And that might have an impact on again your NPK and balanced usage. But that is something which is going to happen. So costlier fertilizers might not be preferred by the farmers because of cash crunch. And particularly people who are in the specialty fertilizer segment, I think there we are going to face the biggest challenge, because this is again a top-up fertilizer. It's not the topmost requirement for the farmers. So what might happen is the farmers might postpone the usage of those things. Of course, I can play the devil's advocate and say that, okay, if there are good farmers and they feel, okay, I need to improve my productivity, the situation is not good. So why not use a little bit of more of specialty fertilizer? So you can always have two sides of the view. But in an extreme situation, if the lockdown extends, I think that will have a very serious impact on kharif production. But I don't think with the current kind of steps the government has taken and the kind of discipline we Indians are showing, looks like we'll be back to business sooner than later. But of course, we need to watch out how things are going to unfold. We are not able to, we are not going to meet the farmers, we're not going to do farmer meetings for next 3 months as an industry. I don't think no government will allow, and nor our organizations will allow it. So I think everybody is talking about digital. So it was very nice to hear that the agri industry is talking about digital, and I'm pretty sure many of the organizations which whom you are representing today here have already been in digital space for quite some time, but that might not have been on the forefront. But I'm pretty sure in this kind of scenario, it will come to the forefront, because I don't know whether we have really had this kind of conference with all the managers. So we're having it now. So that itself shows that this digital wave is something which is going to change the face of our industry for good. So that's definitely expected. But no, I think irrespective of organization or industry we belong to, I think that the responsibility on us is much, much larger now, because this is only one industry, I think, which is going to bounce back faster than any other industry. So it becomes very important for all of us, as an industry, as agriculturists, to ensure that we do our best. Maybe we have to work harder. We have been working for 10 hours a day. Maybe we have to now work 16 hours a day to ensure that the entire industry comes back to normal, because there are a lot of farmers waiting for our seeds, for our fertilizers, or for our farm machineries, or our crop protection chemicals. So I think the duty on us is very, very high, and also many of you are in the leadership team, and I think the most important challenge is going to be how you bring back the confidence of your team, quickly, because the moment the lockdown ends, there will be a lot of apprehensions in the plants. There will be a lot of apprehensions in the field team. The people could be a little shaky to go to the market. So I think as a leadership team, most of the companies, we need to really ensure that we give a full support to our team to keep them engaged and keep them ready to get back to the market the moment the situation is right. So I think that's all from my side. If you have any questions, you can send me through a chat. And again, thanks everyone for the time.
Thank you so much, Madhav. You have given a lot of trigger points. I'm sure a lot of people are going to take it and use it for their purposes.
Let me first take you through the presentation which I have prepared primarily from the perspective of urea. Madhav was talking about the subsidized fertilizers and urea being one of the most sought after fertilizers simply because of its the prices and the quantity at which it is applied. So before I proceed further, let me start with a disclaimer. All the opinions expressed here are solely my own and do not express the views of my employer, though I'm using this slide of SABIC, but then that doesn't mean that it's the opinion of the company which I'm working for. So this, just to give you a perspective as to where we stand as against the fertilizer urea. Basically, urea is in India. Urea is one of the largest in terms of global perspective. It is largely imported to the extent of 9.7 last year, and domestically it has a production capacity of around 24.4 million. And this is what we are going to focus upon. Now, this import versus production, is there going to be a mismatch? What is the demand, supply and demand situation? So primarily, just as Mandala was asking, we'll be focusing just on the COVID-19 and its impact of the global supply situation.
Put your PPT on PPT mode. I think there is a request. If you can put your slide on PPT mode, it is not visible to everyone.
Okay. Just
full screen PPT mode.
Sir, PPT mode. Just
slideshow.
No.
Yeah.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I'm saying, so we see four main areas that the COVID-19
putting
has
mute
impacted
to
on
everyone.
supply side.
Maybe there is some noise, so I'm putting mute to everyone. You have to unmute Ceremony. Yeah, Ceremony, if you can unmute and then. Ceremony, over to you.
Yeah. Okay, so the exchange rate. So in recent times, we have seen a heavy appreciation of the dollars vis-a-vis the local currencies. So the manufacturers, like Middle East manufacturers or maybe the North African manufacturers, they would find it more beneficial to export. Though they are export-oriented company, but then despite that, because of this exchange rate, they will still further find it economically beneficial for the export. So this will increase the supply situation. The next is the plant projects. As a result of the staff shortages, there have been restrictions and large gatherings of the people, and the producers are delaying the plant turnarounds. So that will further increase the utilization of the manufacturing plants, and they will be in a position to increase the throughputs in the normal short-term companies. They'll keep the plant running until the COVID the passes. In terms of new plant capacities, we are foreseeing that only two plants, one which was to come up in Nigeria and the other one which was scheduled to be commissioned in 31st of March, Ramagundam in India, that will get delayed because of this COVID impact. Now, the other two aspects are the feedstock price productions, the feedstock and the production of the cost. See, in the recent times, we have seen a heavy fluctuation, heavy impact on the natural gases, which is the prime raw material used for the manufacturing of urea. And because of, not because of any other reasons, but because of the low energy demand from weak global economy and the high inventory and the lower price in the oil. So some of the natural gas contracts are linked with the crude oil prices. So because the crude oil prices have gone down, slipped down heavily, so that has impacted the natural gas prices, and hence the with the availability of the cheap raw material, the prices will lead to a higher utilization rates of urea production. So this again will increase the availability of the urea. Now, talking about the outages and the logistics issues, the most countries we know that fertilizer comes under the essential commodity in India, and it is also the essential to the economy. So they are giving some leeway to the business operations, and the restrictions are limited in this. However, this doesn't mean that it has not impacted the smooth operations or running it, or it is running smoothly. In India, we have seen some of the operations like GSFC and in other instances, speak, their plant were to briefly extent it was shut down, impacting the output of the urea. But then now it has been reported that it has come to normalcy, and they are producing it at the normal level. So this has increased or it has the availability of the urea is again at the normal limits. The other point is ensuring the proper logistics. These most of the exporters are based out of or closer to the ports like Middle East and the North African geography manufacturers. So the intra trucking, the need for trucking or the railing is not required to a larger extent, and thereby this problem is also addressed to a greater extent. Barring Russia, where the exports are, where the manufacturing units are deeper into the land, but in Russia also the reports are coming. It has not been impacted. This trail movement or the rail movement has not impacted much to the production. So these are four important points which I have enlisted as far as the supplies are concerned. So if we see, we we can as well presume that the ample supplies of urea are there globally. Now, having said about the global situation, let's talk about the Indian situation. So, exactly how urea demand is being impacted locally. So I put that again. There are four major points which can be discussed here. One is the port operations and the quarantine. See, when the lockdown started way back in 2000 in 22nd March, the at the same time the port operations was impacted because a lot of ports they had issued the force majeure situation, and the quarantine was imposed on it. But then, as the days progressed and and we are now in the almost month ahead of the first day when the lockdown started, we have seen the situations improving drastically. And as I'm saying, one of my ammonia vessel, is getting discharged at GSFC Port Sikka, and there was no quarantine restrictions imposed. Though, as per quarantine policy, it had mentioned that any vessel coming from affected countries will be put on quarantine for 14 days. But then again, it was subjected to the port health officer who had the the ability, or who has the powers to berth the vessel on arrival based on the precautions or the specifications the vessel meets with the guidelines. So it is being addressed to a much larger scale in it. I mean, to a larger extent in India. Now, second point which I'm saying is harvesting and procurement. Now, Ministry of Home Affairs, meanwhile, issued a fresh guidelines on 28th of March that exempts agriculture operations from the lockdown under disasters management. This point was well captured by Madhav also, and I also feel that the harvesting would be happening. It may not be in terms of as we have seen that in the Punjab government to assist or to reduce the crowding happening at the procurement centers, they have initiated initiative called the staggered harvesting, in which the farmers were asked to harvest, any farmers who were harvesting before 14th of April, they will be, the purchase would happen at the MSP price, and then from 14th to 31st of April, the 31st of April, they will be given 100 rupees of incentives, and beyond that, I think 200 rupees of incentives. So these are some of the initiatives which government is taking in a positive direction to minimize the crowding happening, and at the same time ensuring the harvesting happens at the proper time, at this stipulated period of time, so that the land is available on at the right time for the sowing. The next important point, which I think is important or critical to see, is the monsoon forecast. Now, the IMD.
If you can conclude, we will share this PPT to everyone. Maybe not to describe each and every point. Maybe one or two critical points you can focus. Otherwise,
yeah, sure. So monsoon forecast is also positive. And if you see the urea domestic availability, imports are happening. RCF tenders has just now concluded the import of almost 800,000 metric ton of urea, and the Department of Fertilizers is also giving indication that it will be coming up with yet another import of urea tender. So that together itself means that the government is also perceiving a normal sowing happening, and the demand as per the normal sowing happening, and demand is also there. As far as the urea domestic production is concerned, as I discussed, that the commissioning of the Ramagundam plant has been delayed, which would have increased the capacity or increased the availability by 1.2 million tons per year. But then that doesn't mean that there would be a dearth of urea in India. It can be always be sufficed. The requirement can be sufficed from the international market. So just to conclude, that if you see the provisional DBT sales, India last year, from April to March, it had sold almost 33 million tons of urea in the country, and the outlook also looks very promising. So given the situation and given the supply demand scenario, it appears that the urea demand will be normal, and let's hope for the best, and maybe prepare for the worst. This is from my side.